Good morning, evening, whenever you're watching this. Good day to you, I guess. And welcome to another show in the gray area. Now, man, I am loving that the preseason is here. I'm loving it. I'm ready for it. And today, my show that I've got for you, we have preseason takeaways and fantasy football projections. Long title, but really good stuff. I'm gonna be going over like some stuff that I saw in preseason games and fantasy related, not fantasy related. We got it all here. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff. To start off, we got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. They played. I'm not really gonna focus on the score, but like the Chiefs did win. But it's preseason and it doesn't matter, you know. Two things I want to point out about this game. Number one, the Chiefs' offensive line. I know. It was against the San Francisco 49ers defensive line. And they weren't even at full strength. But whoa, they were doing pretty great. Like, just watching them, the quarterback was getting like a ton of time just standing back there. I'm like, yes, this is what we needed. Serious, they went out and got replaced like a bunch of their offensive line. So that looks really cool. We will see how they hold up against actual defensive lines. Not actual. They were 49ers. Were an actual defense. In real games against top defensive lines, according to PFF.com, the top two defensive lines are the Steelers and the Washington football team. And we face both those teams. The Chiefs do. They face both those teams in the season, Week 6 and Week 16. So we'll see how they hold up against teams like that. All right. Just for FYI, I wrote this show more like an article, kind of, rather than like an actual, like my usual bullet point type thing. So that's why it's looking like I'm looking down, because I'm reading and then telling you what I wrote down. You know, irrelevant. Second thing about this game, I wasn't impressed with Trey Lance. Whoa, Elijah. He just started his first preseason game. Of course you weren't impressed. Seriously, calm down. I know he's a rookie. But I like to look at things through my fantasy football goggles all the time. And through my fantasy football goggles, like looking at what I'm seeing here, doesn't look good. He had like one great pass, you know, the whole game. But in terms of fantasy football, Trey Lance doesn't look like a good fantasy football option, a good viable option, especially with Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter. It just even if Garoppolo gets injured, then Trey Lance still probably won't be a very viable option. So unless he starts to boom a little bit more, then I just leave him in the free agency. Like you don't need him for fantasy football. All right. Second game, the Panthers and the Colts. All right. Two things once again. Number one, in one word, how would I describe the Colts quarterback situation? Okay. I knew the answer to this before I asked myself this question. But let's go over real quick, shall we? Carson Wentz is injured. He's going to be out the first few games of the season. So we have Jacob Eason and Sam Ehlinger, fighting for the Colts quarterback position. Okay, and we do not have a distinct winner. Like, I really don't know. They're both pretty even. Okay. So my one word, survivable. That's what I got. Okay, I think they can make it through. Both Eason and Ehlinger are both good quarterbacks that I think they can survive through the first few games. Although the first 5 games of the Colts season are against some tough teams. I wish I would have written them down, but They're above average teams that they're facing for the first like 5 games. So that doesn't help. All right. So yeah, survivable. Number 2, another fantasy football goggles. You look at Chuba Hubbard. Okay, he looked nice. He had some nice runs with the ball. Okay, but here's the thing: Christian McCaffrey is the starting quarterback for the Panthers, and so Christian McCaffrey or Chuba Hubbard isn't a fantasy football option because Christian McCaffrey is taking all the snaps pretty much. But if McCaffrey gets injured, then I might say that Chuba Hubbard has good fantasy football potential here. I wouldn't be surprised if he started doing pretty well running back 2, okay? So, you got this information. What do you do with it? Christian McCaffrey, if you pick him up in the first round, then when you get to like round 15, 16, go ahead and pick up Chuba Hubbard. That way, if Christian McCaffrey does get injured, you've already got that backup plan for him. Yeah, that's that. Then, so you go and you look at the Jaguars versus the Browns. Now, all I want to do, fantasy football goggles, all I want to do is look at Trevor Lawrence real quick, okay? From a fantasy football perspective, I'd give him like a 37% chance of becoming the next Justin Herbert. By the way, the percentages are completely inaccurate, just my guesses. Anyways, of becoming this season's Justin Herbert. What does that mean, Elijah? Well, I'll tell you what it means. Justin Herbert, here's what he did. He came in as a rookie, and he ended up as the 9th best quarterback fantasy football-wise. I think Trevor Lawrence has that potential for sure to do that well in fantasy football. Now, it's tough. Don't get him as your starting quarterback because you cannot count on him doing well in fantasy. Trevor Lawrence is a solid backup quarterback. That's the point here. Get him as your backup quarterback. You get someone who's that you know is gonna put up consistent fantasy football points like Kyler Murray. Okay, and then you get Trevor Lawrence as your backup. There you go. Good, and then you got a good quarterback setup. All right, this show has gone by really quickly, but I do want to say a few other things. If you don't follow my Instagram, here it is. Next week show, I'm gonna be on like vacation, so I won't be able to comment on the preseason games because I will have already had it filmed before the preseason games come out. What I'll be doing is I'll be building my ultimate football team. I'm going to be given a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, safety, 2 cornerbacks, and a kicker. Just picking my favorite out of the whole entire NFL and building my ultimate team, you know? So just have some fun with that, I guess. But then I'll be back 2 weeks from now to bring you some new football content. 'Cause that's what I do. All right. That's pretty much it. I'll see you next time in the gray area.